Social media and camera phones in our faces all day long, it's impossible to ignore how we look, especially for women. So where do we draw the line between self-improvement and obsession? Sky Landish is transforming women's lives at her holistic strip and fitness studio in Elizabeth, just like she transformed her own, dropping 65 pounds and becoming a fitness model. But physical change is only part of it.
I teach a lifestyle. I want you to love fitness. I want you to understand that you should do this often because it helps your overall life.
She says she learned the hard way how social media can impact your self-esteem when she starred on reality TV with her fiancé, Hot 97's DJ Drewski. Unlike many other celebrities, she did not get cosmetic enhancements, surgery, or change her natural hair, and was shocked by the online attacks.
I was so sad, not because I wasn't happy with myself, because I was confused as to why people weren't happy with me. I was really confused as to why it wasn't okay to be natural.
Oh my gosh, look at her butt. Look at her butt.
Nicki Minaj is just one of many female stars whose image changed as her career soared. Recording artist and former exotic dancer Zamina Orr used to look like this. Then, she says, as the number of surgical enhancements went up, so did her income and followers, now at 1 million.
I started to notice that all the eyes were on me, versus before, the people that would never really give me as much of a look were like, oh, wow.
The social media competition to look a certain way and compare and despair is a real issue, especially for girls, says Dr. Dominic Sportelli. He believes parents need to be proactive.
We have to talk about self-esteem, and what you need to do is make sure that your child is not focusing all of their self-worth on their image. You have to talk about things like their academic achievement, their sports performance, their artistic performance, their personality and character traits that are really appealing.
Sky Landish is using her experience to empower other women.
For me, I've understood that there's going to be flaws with all of us. There's going to be flaws no matter what you fix. You're going to hate something about yourself when you look in the mirror, but you have to tell yourself, I'm perfect the way I am.
So is that belief that beauty's only skin deep outdated? Let's find out what our panel has to say. Joining me is Sky Landish. She's the founder and owner of Strip and Fitness. She's an MMG model, and she's also a TV personality. Sky, great to have you on the show.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming back. Also with us is Dr. Dominic Sportelli. He's a double board-certified psychiatrist and a medical correspondent. Dr. Sportelli, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. Also with us is Zamina Orr. She's a recording artist, a business owner, and a former model and exotic dancer. Zamina, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me as well.
We appreciate it. Scott, let me start with you on this, because you're in a lot of these entertainment fields and also modeling. How important is a woman's image?
It's extremely important, mostly to women, because social media has become a thing. So with social media, since it's all photo-based, all video-based, the image is very important to society now.
And Dr. Sportelli, are we paying more attention to it, and is that what's causing women to pay more attention to it, or has it always been there? Looks have always been important.
Lisa, it's always been there. The difference now, though, is that we are always on 24/7, and I think Sky made a great point. Social media is such a big part of everyone's lives. Think about this. You post a picture on social media, you're getting thumbs up, likes. You're being judged and potentially criticized 24/7. The way that you look on social media is really setting how you feel about yourself. And it's all images, right? It's not who you really are as a person, it's images. So I'm gonna go with the social media aspect of things completely blowing this up.
And it really affects how we feel about ourselves in a real way.
Tremendously. Let's think about this for a second. And I want to talk as a psychiatrist. What is body image, right? It's an important definition. But your body image is how you perceive that other people see you. That may or may not be correct, right? That may be biased by so many things. And you know what it's biased by? It's biased by your mood, your peers, your parents, judged by so many other people. And back in the day, right, it used to be magazines. You open a magazine and see a model. Now, 24/7. Instagram, Facebook, all these things, it's just all over the place. You can't get away from it.
It's all there and you can't get away from it. Zamina, as a woman in the entertainment industry, how important is how you look?
It's definitely important. I believe it's important in many different aspects. Even before there was Instagram or Facebook, how I made a living as an exotic entertainer, I had to survive based off how I looked. So if I didn't fit the bill in terms of looking a certain kind of way, I wasn't making any money. So I started to look at myself, and according to people and how they looked at me and if they were going to give me money for that night, I kind of would go home sometimes sulking like, oh my goodness, maybe I should fix this, or maybe I should enhance this, because I looked at the girls that they were giving the money to, and I'm like, all right, well, this girl, I noticed a similarity. She had a bigger butt, or she had bigger boobs, or, you know, her hair was done like this. And I normally, you know, when I first started, I didn't wear makeup. I had like naturally curly hair. And I was just a natural girl that was very gullible to a lot of different things and pressures that, you know, us women have to go through. And then as I started to realize, oh my gosh, like I'm not making any money at all doing this. And I really, you know, I
Being myself, essentially being myself.
Exactly, being myself, the natural person that I was born to be. You know, it was like pressure for me before Instagram or Facebook to like try to have to compete. So I was like, all right, well, now let me try to straighten my hair when I go to work. Now let me try to enhance this. So now I'm looking at doctors trying to figure out ways to enhance certain things, and it all started from there.
And that's where it started.
Yeah.
Sky, you lost a lot of weight at one point and did it naturally.
Yes.
But now when you look at what's happening, you know, you see there's this thing called thin privilege, where thin is in a lot of ways, and that yet there are you know, thick is still admired by a lot of people and desired, but there's also more clothes, you know, plus sizes, and there's what you call body positive movement. What's really going on here? Because you train women also. You know, you have your facility and your fitness studio.
So Lisa, when I was 65 pounds heavier, I don't think thick was in. There wasn't plus size, you know, places you could go. Like Forever 21 now has a plus size portion of their store. Certain stores have that, you know, portion in their store, and you can go there and feel comfortable and get cute outfits. When I started, that didn't exist. You went to maybe, you know, a store that you didn't want to go into to get plus size cute clothes. So I was like, I want to be thinner. That was how it started. I want to fit into this bathing suit. I want to look a certain way. And then I just wanted to get healthier after a while, because body positivity started, and it was like, be healthy in the skin that you're in. And you just really wanted to look the part, but you also wanted to feel the part. And that's what I went with. That's what I teach my ladies. I teach them, you know, it's okay to want to be thin. It's okay to want to look a certain way, but it's really important that you feel that way and that you're happy with how you look.
Dr. Sportelli, we're in this era right now where, you know, we're not supposed to judge people. People aren't supposed to, nobody wants to be judged, but it still seems like it's okay in a lot of places to body shame women.
Oh, body shaming is tremendous. You know where I see this a lot? With adolescents. I see this with like middle schoolers and high schoolers, where they're body shaming people online, which is, it's bullying. I mean, it's cyberbullying, and it has an incredible detrimental effect on people with depression and anxiety. Do you know, statistically, the more time that you spend on social media, the more likely you're going to experience anxiety and depression? These are all statistically true, right? You know,
Wow.
I think
didn't know that.
it's absolutely true. The more time that you spend on social media, the more likely you're going to be depressed or anxious, because you're constantly comparing yourself.
The comparison.
You know, my thing is, social media is mylifeisbetterthanyours.com. That's what I call it, right? Think about it, because
Yeah.
everybody's kind of posting, you know, this perfect life. Another thing that I've heard, it's a really funny saying, it's called duck syndrome. Do you ever see a duck on a lake and they look beautiful and they're just kind of coasting along perfectly? You don't see what their little feet are doing under the water,
Right.
with like the turbulent water, right? So social media is like a duck. You look perfect on the outside, but you have no idea what's going on the inside. This is superficial representation
superficial.
of everybody, right? And now you're trying to compete with a false ideal. It's not real.
It's not real. Zamina, what about that in terms of the impact that the social media, because a lot of the pictures, you know, there's a big thing too about people using apps to change their pictures.
Yeah.
You can change your body shape, you know,
Yes.
all these types of things.
I mean, I definitely feel like that is 100% true, because I find myself, now that he's saying it, I do find myself constantly feeling like everything in life that I'm doing is not quick enough, is not fast enough. You know, I'm trying to get to where I want to go, but I feel like I'm moving like a snail. And then I see, you know, this person and their accomplishments, and I'm happy for them. But then I start questioning, like, oh my gosh, why is it that I'm not at that level yet, or why
It's this
haven't I reached?
comparison.
Yes.
What the doctor was talking about with the
Yes, and
comparisons.
then it makes you kind of feel like, you know, maybe I need to start doing this, and maybe I need to start doing that, so that way I can try to reach that level. So I definitely understand what you mean. But in terms of, you know, that I'll definitely keep that in mind from now on and try to stay away from
I think
social media a little bit more.
Kind
now
of
that
hard,
I know
kind of hard
that.
to do in the entertainment.
Yeah.
We need to take a short break.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to do in our world and also in the entertainment industry. This is Street Soldiers. I'm your host, Lisa Evers. We'll be right back.
Not look at all of this and just focus on why my child loves me.
Are we ever good enough anymore in 2018, in this era? Are we ever good enough? Sky, what about that?
For me, I feel like I'm good enough. I feel like I'm where I want to be, but that's because I'm being myself. I haven't ever enhanced myself. I've always been true to myself. If my hair isn't the way I like it, then I'm like, this is just a bad hair day. It's not me personally. And I'm completely okay with being natural because that's how I was made. That, you know, and I think it has a lot to do with how you were raised too sometimes, or what you watch. Because if I watch a lot of things on Instagram, then I start to question myself. But then I draw it back to, no, I'm being myself. This is okay. You're supposed to be yourself in society. That's why you were made.
Zamina, what about that? Do you feel that comparison factor and that factor like I'm never good enough? Do you feel that way sometimes also?
Well, I definitely did feel like that at one point in time. Like I said, when I was in the environment of the club, it was a lot of comparison because it was a living for me. So it was a source of income. So I always was in a position where I felt like I needed to always improve on things because that would make my income increase. So it was a little different. Now that I'm no longer in that environment, I'm able to look at myself and just see like the things that I've done in terms of enhancements. I can honestly say I'm like, all right, you did go a little overboard with certain things, but that's where, you know, I'm at now with I want to actually fix certain things and put things where I'm comfortable now. You know, I'm comfortable in my skin no matter what, but now I just want to put it where I actually like it versus where I was trying to appease a customer before. Now it's like, what do I like? Look in the mirror and see what it is that I particularly want to fix for myself and not for others now.
So have your body reflect where you're at in your life and your career at this point? Is that what you're saying?
Definitely, because I mean, before the attention, well, the non-attention that I was not receiving, it pretty much showed me. A lot of people on social media are always telling me like, oh, you know, with the whole body shaming thing, there's such a thing as surgery shaming. So people will say like, oh, I prefer natural, I prefer this. But let's just be real. I have 1 million followers on Instagram. Do you think that's for no reason? They like the enhancements that I have. So it's like, it kind of contradicts itself when they say that, because I'll go look on their page and that's the same person that's following me. And then I'm like, oh wait, matter of fact, if I look even further into the messages, they've been trying to get my attention for the past couple of months.
Well, let's talk about that, because it exaggerated in terms of pictures, in terms of getting likes, in terms of people looking at it. The more exaggerated the shape is, you know, what used to be an hourglass shape, or it was just called curvy, is now, and you're an example of it.
Yeah.
You know, you got the super hyper curves and stuff. And did you find your followers increase the more you did?
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. My followers like tripled. Like it was. I was just like, wow.
When
like,
you have butt surgery,
really,
you mean, but like, what was there one surgery that you had that just kind of put you over the edge, or?
Well, yeah, I had gotten some liposuction because I just kind of felt like my midsection had gotten bigger after, you know, just making poor choices with eating and stuff like that.
Life.
Life, exactly.
Time.
Depression eating sometimes from watching Instagram and comparing myself sometimes. But yeah, so my midsection had gotten bigger and I wanted to get some liposuction. I got liposuction, and from there I just was like, okay, now my waist is looking really small and it's accentuating everything else that I have going on. So therefore my boobs are looking, you know, extra perky now. My butt is looking extra bigger because my waist is like super tiny. And then I got like a lot more even celebrities hitting me up like, oh my gosh, you know, hi, how are you? Like so much more attention than I was getting before. And I was like, I think I'm onto something here, you know? So it started to make me realize, as much as people claim that, they want the natural is just as much as they enjoy the fake.
Right.
Honestly.
What she's
Dr. Sportelli, what about
explaining
this?
Honestly, listen, what you're explaining to me from a psychological standpoint makes so much sense, because you're getting reinforced, you're getting rewarded for doing those things to your body because you're getting more viewers, right?
Yes.
So guess what that does to you? It makes you probably want to do more, right? It's super, super important. I think we're talking about, like, are we really happy? What's going on here? I want to make a point that there's a very big difference between self-esteem and self-image. That's huge. And
Explain that to us.
Yeah, for sure. So self-image is the way that you perceive yourself, right? It's part of your self-esteem. Self-esteem is your overall values about how you view yourself, your value to life and society and family and friends. The problem becomes is if your self-image starts to take on more and more weight with your overall self-esteem, then you're in big trouble.
You have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and which you did need to be a model, and you didn't need to do a lot of the things that you're doing, but I'm sure helps you every day dealing with people. But in terms of the emphasis so much for women, I feel now too, especially for the impact on our young girls, is what you look like is more important than what you actually are. Like how educated you are, do you speak different languages? Are you interested in people? Do you have a personality?
So I feel like as I've grown, I've realized fitness and life is about body, mind, soul. And I'm really big on that, is making sure your body is right with your mind, is right with your soul. And so there's portions that, we talk about, I talk with my ladies, and it's like, okay, it's cool to make sure your body's all good, but are you meditating? Are you making sure that you're taking an hour for yourself and dedicating to yourself and not on Instagram and not doing all these things? Is your soul okay? Are you making sure, you're eating right? Are you making sure you're doing the hobbies you want to be doing? That doesn't involve social media, doesn't involve other people.
We have to make sure that we're pointing out value systems in our young adults, that it's not, you're brilliant and you're artistic and you have so many other attributes about you that make you who
that
you
your
are.
external is just one of them. It's not the sum total of it.
And it's not everything.
But that's not the way our society is, right?
It's very sad. It's really, really
I
sad.
suffered with that a lot. That was something that I actually suffered with, and
As a child?
as
Teenager?
As an adult actually.
wow.
Where, like I said, it wasn't until I got into the industry that's when I finally started to pick at myself, literally, and I was going home tearing myself apart. I even honestly had bought bleaching cream at one point in time. I never used it, but I bought bleaching cream at one point in time because in New York at some of the clubs, I was noticing that some of the more lighter skinned females were, what we would call winning in the club. They were making a lot more money, and it was just no matter, even with the enhancements, it was I couldn't win. So I was just
And that was
wow.
regardless of the clientele? What race of the clientele didn't matter?
Regardless of the clientele. So then, at one point in time, it did become an addiction, where I was okay, I need to fix this. Maybe I did a blonde wig today. Maybe I should do a black wig tomorrow. All right, I already enhanced this. Maybe I should go a cup size bigger. Or maybe I should have. And then I started to question myself. And then literally, when I left the club, and even right before I started to leave, because I just got tired, I was so drained mentally, I was just you know what, enough. I looked at myself, and then I looked at old pictures, and I'm very honest with my fan base. I posted old pictures of myself because I didn't want to lie. I let them see what I used to look like and what I look like now. And regardless of whatever, because I would be doing the same thing if I look at myself now and say, oh my gosh, what did I do to myself? I'm happy. I'm happy with who I am right now. I'm happy with how I look right now. And I took the time to start doing things like meditating. Sometimes I don't even do my hair. Like you said, I don't do my hair. And I'll go outside and I'm just so comfortable, even if I'm wearing sweatpants or whatever it is, because I started to take the time to just not look at all of this and just focus on why my child loves me. Yeah. She doesn't care about my weave. She doesn't care about my lashes when they come off. She doesn't care about my clothes, my breasts, my butt. She doesn't care about that. She cares about the person that I am. And I have so much things to offer.
Oh, that's so great. All right, on that's so sweet. That's really sweet.
Yeah.
This is Street Soldiers. I'm your host, Lisa Evers. We'll be right back. I want to thank you all for being with us. Sky
having
Landish,
us.
thanks so much for being with us. Dr. Dominic Sportelli, great to have you. And Zamina Orr, thank you so much for
Thank you
sharing
for
your story
having
and
me.
being with us. We really appreciate it. And thank you for joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers. I'm your host, Lisa Evers. Remember, use your mind. It's your best weapon. I hope it's your only weapon. Let's push for peace.